I believe Lamar should be investigated by the city attorney to determine if he has created a hostile work environment. You should be doing that. I would like an audit of text messages between Lamar and Shagufa during the period of time Shagufa was charged. You want audits? Let's get an audit of your text messages.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
I would like to see, I will get it. I'd like to see the police cam video when officers went to council member Tamisha's home. I'd like to see that. If you keep changing people, keep making excuses of a poor job you, our city council, are doing.
But that is a dog whistle racism, an apologist for what's absolutely wrong in this city. That is, you want to go outside right now? Let's go.
Listen, we need to take a recess. We're gonna take a recess, everyone. Can we make sure everybody calm down?
30 years ago, Antioch was a mostly white community, and many of the black residents here now say they actually left Oakland to escape police brutality.
They basically ruined my life.
One by one.
When it comes to these officers, it's always their word against ours.
Antioch residents and plaintiffs who are now suing the city and several police officers shared their stories.
These officers are supposed to be protecting and serving, and they out here hurting and killing people.
Jarrell Cobbs' son is one of the 5 plaintiffs in the federal lawsuit. She says the officers texted about brutally beating him. What did they say?
They said that my son's head is like a bowling ball. They try to kick him unconscious, and they bragged about it and laughed about it.
Gruesome and deadly crime in Antioch. Someone set a woman on fire. First responders found that woman's body in flames on a local trail.
Her name, her age, and her race are still a mystery. So is how she died and why someone will set her on fire.
Yo, 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 what's up, people? We is back. Another day on Keep It G News. And they went in Antioch, California to talk about a discovery of a woman, man. Gruesome murder, burnt to death. Like y'all just saying in the clip I just played. And we're going to talk about the arrest of these perpetrators that was alleged to play the role in this young woman losing her life. And the reason why her case is no longer going to see the light of day in court.
The Contra Costa County District Attorney's Office released another trove of texts Monday detailing shocking racist communications between Antioch police officers. Some describe conducting surveillance on black suspects, saying, quote, "They all look the same," and, quote, "I feel like I'm at the zoo." After arresting one suspect, an officer boasted, quote, "I field goal kicked his head." Some of the texts are just too disturbing to repeat. The report is the second document detailing racist communications between officers released by prosecutors in recent days.
These are horrendous, outrageous statements, and it goes not only to the verbalness of abuse, it's also the physical abuse. And there are no restraints on these particular men.
Civil rights attorney John Burris is representing some of the people singled out in the texts and is considering further legal action.
From my point of view, these are all physical civil rights violations that should be dealt with separate and apart from this notion of all the racial slurs.
The public text messages are just the latest in a wide-ranging scandal involving more than a dozen Antioch officers. The FBI has been investigating the department for months, with nearly a quarter of the force facing suspension for various transgressions. Last week, Contra Costa County Public Defender Ellen McDonnell sent a letter to the DA's office asking for all pending cases investigated by Antioch police to be dismissed. Antioch Police Chief Steve Ford addressed the scandal in a statement last week, apologizing for the texts and saying an outside agency has taken over the investigation.
Now, Mike, the DA's office said it met with the public defender's office today to come up with a way to identify cases that may be compromised by the officers involved in this scandal. Those cases may be eligible for dismissal or resentencing.
Now, I've been very vocal in the past about police departments, and I have said on this show numerous times that when these officers get caught breaking the law, now you got to revisit all these cases, and a lot of these cases are going to be dropped. Now, I've been all for it, you know, but that's because I failed to recognize that it's real victims in this, you know, victims that's on the other side of the law, victims of families of victims that's seeking justice. And a lot of times when these things happen now, this family or these families are no longer able to seek justice for their loved one. And with this case in particular, we talking about a gruesome murder of a young woman by the name of Michael.
Records helped identify the Antioch woman whose remains were recently set on fire near a city trail. Now the family of the 25-year-old woman is coping with the violent manner in which she lost her life. Our Crown 4's Philippe Jagal spoke with the woman's sister, who says her family has not slept in days.
We're having a rough time.
25-year-old Michaela Charlman's family reported her missing to the Antioch Police Department on October 16th, and the next day, police announced the woman's remains were set on fire on a paved walking trail north of Lopez Drive. Nicole Eason says her family was broken when they learned dental records identified her sister Charlman as the homicide victim, likely killed before being set on fire. She was so badly burned, investigators initially shared photos of her jewelry to help shed light on who she was.
To take her body and put it in a garbage can and then burn her is one of the most heinous crimes that you could ever commit.
With her brother Justin by her side, Eason speaks for her family. They met with us virtually Tuesday. On Monday, the police department announced 2 people of interest have been arrested in relation to Charlman's death and are currently in custody.
Now, my mother and my father will never get the opportunity to walk her down the aisle or her call and say she's pregnant or buying her first house.
Charlman was the youngest of 7 siblings in a family of 9 Nicole Eason describes as close. She says her sister looked after her nieces and nephews.
She cared for them as if they were her own. She was our live-in babysitter, our unpaid admin for things. So we're going to miss that, not being able to see her anymore.
Charlman, who was born in Oakland and raised in Antioch, studied at Los Medanos College and aspired to work as a hair and makeup stylist, but hit a rough patch, which her family believes led to her death.
Drugs are out there all over the place. And I think that had some involvement. And so if I could say anything, I would tell all the millennials, the young people, that drugs are not the way to go. Secondly, I would say that we're not going to rest until justice is sought and it's found.
Police have not identified the persons of interest in custody. Philippe Jagal, Crown 4 News.
And now her family is stressing, searching for answers because they don't know what to do next. Because if you just heard in the clip I just played for y'all, they said they had to revisit cases, but come to find out, shit, this is one of the ones I had to revisit.
To get over them picking my child up out of that thing and loading her in there, and I didn't even know that was her.
Sandra Sharman is still reeling from the pain of losing her daughter, Michaela. Last October, Michaela's burned body was found along this Antioch trail. 2 men were arrested in connection with the crime. They were facing charges of arson and mutilating a corpse. But that's no longer the case after the Contra Costa County District Attorney dismissed all charges, saying the case was now in doubt because it involved Antioch police officers connected to the department's racist text messaging scandal. That scandal involves racist and homophobic texts traded between officers, in some cases bragging about assaulting suspects. Today, the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office confirmed that the 2 suspects are no longer in custody.
It's unexplainable. Who would do something like this? And this is the way it is.
My sympathies are absolutely with the family.
Annie Esposito is the Assistant District Attorney for Contra Costa County. She says they're currently reviewing pending court cases and say that review involves more than just looking at the individual actions of each officer in each case.
It is looking at the totality of together what influence and overall the influence of all the department that was involved in this case.
Michaela's sister Nicole is also sad and angry that the prosecution of 2 men tied to her sister's death is now being vacated because of the police scandal. She believes the evidence presented during preliminary hearings, including surveillance video of the crime, clearly links these suspects to her sister's death.
So I believe that they're appeasing a community by dismissing the case, but they haven't done their due diligence at scrutinizing the evidence.
The district attorney's office says they could reopen the case if new evidence is found. But as it stands, the case is dismissed. And now the family of Michaela Sharman is left to consider other options for trying to reopen a case they feel should have never been dismissed.
Don't want to hear their apologies. I don't want to hear what they got to say unless they're saying something pertaining to Michaela's death.
In Antioch, Pete Serratos, NBC Bay Area News.
Man, I feel so bad for this family, man. I don't even know what they can do. You know, maybe they can try to pursue federal charges. Maybe they can get the feds involved, depending on the evidence, depending on what rules that was broken. But the two guys that was arrested, they never even got charged for the murder. They got charged for arson because Michaela's body was burnt almost unrecognizable. And they don't even know how she died. So for this family to lose twice, you know, they lost a child and then they lost because they couldn't depend on a system that was supposed to be speaking for them because of these police officers and their racist actions. And I get why they dropped the cases, because you can't really take these officers' statements to court, because look at the other statements that they made. Are they even trustworthy? You got one officer admitting that he make up things, you know, since they don't got surveillance footage here, make up statements and lies. So I get why the cases was dropped. But that's why I think it need to be more accountability on these officers. They shouldn't be able to just walk away scot-free. No, yo, not when you got these type of victims and these type of cases that now got to get non-prosecuted because of their negligence and their racist tweets or texts. Damn, yo, this sad, yo, and my condolences to their family, man, and shit. I don't really know what they can do. Like I said, I understand why the case is getting dropped. It just so happened that this was a gruesome one and a one that was, you know, it was heinous. To kill this woman, yo, for what? Like, they never gave a reason. I don't even know if they got that far into the investigation to decide why these things happened to this young girl, man. Young, man, 22 years old or something like that, yo, still a baby. Got burnt and thrown in a dumpster, yo. And now this family that thought everything was, you know, everything was working well for them. Now they left without no answers, yo. I just hope it was a situation where they was almost aware of what was going on. You know, like the state was keeping them updated on, you know, what's going on with these messages, you know, because I'm sure that they knew these officers, because it's almost the whole force. We talking about 50% of the force was involved in these racist text messages. But I just hope that they was letting the family know that, you know, we do got to arrest. But, you know, these officers are under investigation, and some of these officers did work on your daughter's case. So it's in limbo. You know, I just maybe sort of stink and hurt just a little bit less, but that might not even matter. But let me know how y'all feel about us in the comments. I want to send my condolences to that family, man, and, you know, shit, hopefully they can find some type of peace and find some type of justice. But I'll keep my eye out on it, and I'm going to notify y'all if anything new happens. But just keep it G News. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'm out.
Need some praying, people feel like I'm stuck. It's seeping deep, but don't be smoking shit that you ain't roll up. I'm trying to teach you. Niggas singing up their nose on the low and think I don't know it. Mama lying for my bro, cause we wrong and think I don't know it. If it was get it poppin' time on the grind and I jailed on you, God please take my breath from my body, I failed bro. I've been in every war, holding every shield, swinging every sword. I stood and never ran. Why would you lie and try to steal my glory? Put that on my stripes. I ain't never back down or folded up in my life. I've been thugging like this. I've been thugging like this. I've been thugging like this. I've been thugging like. If I'm lying, God take my sight. Never let a bro starve in my life. I've been thugging like this. I've been thugging like this. I've been thugging like this. I've been thugging like.